Have you ever caught yourself scrolling late at night and stumbled across a post? Maybe it's a vague tweet, a cryptic photo, or someone hinting at pain in a way that feels deeper than just a bad day. You pause for a second, confused or uncomfortable. Maybe your first reaction is shock, or pity, or even judgment. Why would anyone do that to themselves? It doesn't make sense, right? Hurting yourself to feel better? It feels backward. It feels wrong. But here's the thing, it's happening more than we think. It's not just emo kids, not just attention seekers. It's the quiet girl who always turns in her assignments early. It's the funny guy who keeps everyone laughing but never says how he's actually doing. It's people you'd never suspect. And they're not doing it for show. Most of them never want anyone to know it all. So what's really going on beneath the surface? What drives someone to hurt their own body? Not out of desire to end life, but as a way to cope with it. That's what we're diving into today, the psychology behind self-harm. And the answers might challenge what you think you know. Let's start by clarifying what self-harm actually is. Clinically, it's known as non-suicidal self-injury, or NSSI. That's key. It's not about trying to die. It's about trying to live, even if that means using pain as a survival tool. Self-harm can take many forms: cutting, burning, hitting oneself, scratching, even intentionally preventing wounds from healing. It's deeply personal, and no two stories are quite the same. But psychology offers some shared reasons. And surprisingly, they make a lot more sense when you look closer. One of the main psychological drivers behind self-harm is emotional regulation. Think of it like this. When your emotions get so overwhelming that they feel unbearable, like a storm in your chest, you'll do almost anything to make it stop. For some people, that anything becomes physical pain. Hurting the body becomes a twisted but effective way to release what the mind can't handle. There's also a neurological explanation. When someone self-harms, the body releases endorphins, the same chemicals that give us a high after exercise or laughter. It's like the brain is saying, "Here, take this, you've been through enough." That chemical rush can bring a temporary sense of calm, even relief. It's not healthy, but works. And when something works in the middle of emotional chaos, the brain remembers. Then there's dissociation, that numb, floating feeling when reality feels distant. Many people who self-harm say they don't feel anything, and that's the problem. Pain becomes a way to feel something, to be reminded that you're still alive. For others, it's about control. When everything in life feels out of their hands, school, parents, relationships, trauma, the body becomes the one thing they can control. It's a private act, a secret ritual. It's not for the world to see. But where does it begin? Often, self-harm starts during adolescence, a time when the brain is still learning how to process emotion, identity, and stress. Social pressure, bullying, family dysfunction, trauma, mental health disorders, they all contribute. And unfortunately, once self-harm becomes a coping mechanism, it can be incredibly hard to stop. Not because someone wants to keep doing it, but because they haven't found anything else that works as well. Yet, let's be clear, self-harm is not about manipulation. It's not just for attention. In fact, the vast majority of people who self-harm go to extreme lengths to hide it. Long sleeves in summer, creative excuses, silence. If someone is talking about it or showing it, that doesn't make their pain less real. It just means they're finally letting some of it out. And maybe they're hoping someone will notice and not turn away. What makes this even more complicated is the stigma. People who self-harm are often met with fear, disgust, or even anger. But those reactions only deepen the shame. And shame is fuel for self-harm. It's a vicious cycle. Understanding it, without judgment, is the first step toward breaking that cycle. So, where do we go from here? How do we shift the way we think about self-harm? Not just as a problem to be fixed, but as a message to be heard. The truth is, self-harm is a coping mechanism, not a healthy one, but a powerful one. And people who use it aren't weak. They're not broken. They're surviving in the only way they know how. That's why healing isn't just about stopping the behavior. It's about replacing it with tools that meet the same need: regulation, release, control, expression. Therapy helps. especially dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, which teaches emotional regulation, mindfulness, and distress tolerance. Art helps. Movement helps. Talking, even when it's hard, helps. Having someone say, I see you, and I'm not afraid of your pain, helps more than most people will ever realize. If you're someone who struggles with this, know this. You're not alone, and there's no shame in where you've been. You're allowed to want out. You're allowed to ask for help. You're allowed to heal slowly. And if you're someone who's never experienced it but wants to understand, don't turn away. Don't minimize. Just listen. Sit with the discomfort. Ask how you can support instead of assuming what someone needs. Pain, when it's bottled up, will always find a way out. For some, that way is silent and hidden. But when we start having honest conversations, when we name the pain without shame, we give people new options, new paths. We make it okay to speak before they bleed. Self-harm doesn't define a person. It's just one chapter of a much bigger story, and every story can change.